interventions that you use traditionally to digital form using digital technologies like we've mentioned, artificial intelligence, big data. I mean, these are different buzzwords all over the places, but I think we need also to do to make some clarification as to what are these key technologies that enable a digital supply chain. But essentially, I also want to highlight that digital supply chain it's not existing in a vacuum. So we are currently in what we call Industry 4.0, which is the fourth industrial revolution. And the pillars of this industrial revolution are key technologies, like I've mentioned, Internet of Things, basically artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain, the list is endless. And what organizations do today is to try as much as possible to tap into this new technology and then to improve the efficiency of their supply chain. So take, for instance, an average supply chain organization would want end-to-end visibility and transparency. So you want to understand what the end user of your product, right, is using. You want to know you want to track their purchasing pattern, you want to track their behavior. And in between that process, you have various suppliers, first tier, second tier, third tier. So how do you ensure that you can know what the end users are using without, translating the demand of your supplier to your planning process? So when you adopt digital, solutions like this, you'll be able to have endless, end-to-end visibility to understand the supplier need, and you plan according to the supplier expectation. In addition to that, also organizations would want their supply chain to be very efficient. In other words, you want to save money, right? And you want to also to be very productive. And artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, all of these devices or technologies could help you to do that. Recent examples in the healthcare use of drones to deliver medicines and blood to emergency situations. So people in geographically challenging locations, or where there are disaster relief where you cannot access so easily, and then drones are used. So these are different ways in which supply chain is being digitized. So e-commerce giants such as Amazon, for instance, and Alibaba, they have already tapped into this space, using this technology for their warehousing management, for planning, for also scheduling of their production. And the revolution that digitization is making in supply chain and logistic landscape over the, all over the world, it's one that you don't want to miss as an organization. But there is a challenge. And what is this challenge? The challenge is that it doesn't come free because it involves some investment in this technology. So while large businesses are tapping into digital-enabled solutions to ensure that their supply chain process is more efficient, small businesses are still struggling to understand what is the key and benefit, the cost and benefit of this solution. So while we are, being attracted to these solutions, digitization in supply chain, we also need to think how would the small businesses be able to tap into this space, because more than 90% of the entire enterprises in the world are constituted by small businesses. And until we make transformation within that space, when small businesses are now adopting, implementing, and maximizing the benefit of digital solutions, that's when we can say that we have arrived in ensuring large-scale adoption of digitalization in the supply chain. Now, coming to the theme of this event, the key enablers, right? Because that's what I saw, and I think it's a very timely key topic. The first thing for you as a supply chain organization to tap into this space is you need to be digitized, right? You can't give what you don't have. So if your organization still rely on documents, you rely on spreadsheets to make inventory forecast, you rely on poster services for you to send bids out, or maybe you rely on simple emails, right, to receive supplier updates, and you don't have e-procurement system, you don't have maybe SAP or ERP system that gives you that unrestricted flow of information and data, then it will be difficult for you to say that you want to have a digitized supply chain. In addition to that, leadership is essential. Leadership in the sense that if the top management team in your organization do not believe in adopting new technology, so we have what you call the old school, right? You go to organization where the senior management still believe that there is no added value for you to work from home. They want you to be in the office. And then you know that this is not adding any value. Actually, you'll be saving more money for the organization if you work remotely. But you have a senior manager or CEO who does not believe in that. That's going to be a barrier. So if you have a CEO who so much believes in revolutionizing their supply chain solution, a system with adoption of this technology, then it's easier to move on. The second enabler is what you call data science. All right, and this is the people aspect of digitizing your supply chain. You need, to improve your data science skills. You need people who are experts in data science, who are experts in business analytics, data analytics, to be able to support what these intelligence systems are doing. And then resource availability, it's another factor that enables the adoption. Remember, for instance, if you want robots to be running around in your warehouses, right? You are not going to use plastics or wood to construct robots, right? You are going to have some resources to implement that. So you need resource availability. It's another enabler. But more importantly is the readiness of the supply chain partners. Remember, your supply chain is a combination of different players. Your organization, the first tier, second tier, third tier supplier, right, in the upstream, and then when you come to the downstream, you are looking at your third party logistics provider and also the customers. So if your systems in an organization is fully digitized, and then you have suppliers that do not have access to internet, suppliers who are still using hard copy, and then you have a traditional way of managing their system, it will be difficult for you to integrate and to get access into the data of that supplier. So when you are looking into transforming your supply chain and by adopting this solution, you also need to think about the key players that you'll be having relationship with. Please, Harrison, let me know if my time is running, because I know there are a lot of people who have been invited to talk on this topic. Now, more important than resource availability also is what I call the customer psychology. And this is a factor that is often neglected in the discourse of digitization generally. And the insight that I want to share with you today, it's what I discovered from the African business environment. Take, for instance, in Nigeria, more than about maybe 10 or 9 years ago, you have e-commerce coming into the country, the advent of Konga, Jumia, and all of that. And when they came to the country, they want to implement what has been done in developed countries, where you go online, you buy your products, and then it's delivered to you. You make payments online. But they discovered that it's not working in the Nigerian system because customers lack trust in some of these digital enabled systems. They don't want to use their cards to make payments, right? So you see them changing their strategy to pay on delivery. But then that also increases the pressure on these logistics companies, where you now have a lot of reverse logistics products. People will make purchases online, and some of them are sarcastic. They don't even need those products. They're just playing around. And then you send your truck to deliver, and they say, sorry, this is not what I want. So who bears that cost? So customer psychology, the end user, if they are not conscious, in other words, their attitudes to internet, attitudes to digital technology, if it doesn't change, then you have a long way to go. And lastly, and this last point that I want to share with you, essentially, it's a recommendation to the African continent. There is a need for national digital infrastructure that would enable efficient digitization of organizations and the supply chain. Now, in Kenya, for instance, right? There are counties like Mombasa that's a bit fairly well developed than Unyeri. All right. So if you have a supplier in Mombasa, for instance, you can easily integrate with the supplier. But then in Unyeri local government, the local county where there is limited internet, what can you do? And look at Nigeria. People still struggle to gain access to very fast and efficient internet. So the government needs to intervene to ensure that there are very, effective fiber optics infrastructure that would enable small businesses and organizations to maximize the benefit of digitization. And until you do this, this will just be a buzzword. We'll be theorizing on this. We'll be debating from now to tomorrow. Nothing would happen. The alternative is for organizations to invest. But think of it, when you're spending a lot of money in infrastructure that should have been provided by the institution to which you pay your tax, then you cannot be competitive in global market because your operating cost will be higher than your competitor, and then it will be challenging for you to do your business. So basically, let me round up. This is what I have for you today as an introductory speech to this topic, and I'm looking forward to learning from the other panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Timidayo. Thanks for laying that background.